Welcome back, guys! As you know, on Saturdays I talk about episodes of animated superhero TV shows, and today I am going to talk about an episode of Batman the Animated Series titled Terror in the Sky. If you haven't seen the episode before, I am going to be spoiling this episode hard, so you have been warned. Here we go. The episode begins with the Man-Bat attacking a couple of dock workers, specifically their shipment of some kind of unidentified fruit. So I guess we know what kind of bat Kirk Langstrom used to turn himself into the Man-Bat. Anyway, we then see that, oops, it was all just a dream for the aforementioned Dr. Langstrom, or so it would seem. We see that his wife, Francine, is an evil shrew fussing at him for having a nightmare, but despite her commands for him to go back to sleep, Langstrom decides that he needs some fresh air to calm himself down. He sees that the rug inside his room has fruit all over it and claw marks. He goes to work trying to find a cure for the Man-Bat situation because he believes that the cure that Batman made way back in the episode On Leather Wings did not work and that he is somehow back to transforming into the Man-Bat. Batman believes this too, but then after he comes to visit Langstrom, and Langstrom's wife is an evil shrew who decides that she's going to leave Langstrom for the least rational reason possible, Batman is attacked by the Man-Bat. But Langstrom is inside, so it couldn't possibly be him. Who could it be? When Kirk finds out that the Man-Bat is not him, he chases after his harpy of a wife to beg her to come back to him. On the plane, they hug it out, and then she transforms into the Man-Bat. What? How shocking! Anyway, she escapes from the plane, taking Langstrom with her. Batman is able to cure her. Cue credits. Happy ending for everybody. So like most mysteries that are attempted in this series, this one isn't all that impressive, if I'm being honest. In the extra features for one of the DVD box sets of Batman Beyond, Paul Dini said that he never did like doing mysteries in this world because, as he said, it's never the person who you think it is, and since these episodes are only 20 minutes long, they don't have time to set up multiple suspects that the culprit could be, and so it can only ever be one other person. And that describes this episode to the letter. I never once suspected that the Man-Bat creature was Kirk Langstrom, simply because the episode is trying way too hard to make us think that that's who it is. I guess it's possible that it could have been Langstrom's father-in-law, but like I said, it's never the person who you suspect. And he is way too suspicious anyway, so it's certainly not him. So for me, it had to be Francine. There was just no other option. Now, admittedly, I'm a quarter of a century old. I'm not exactly the target audience for this series. Yes, grown men and women can watch and enjoy this series, but it was originally aimed at children. I'm not sure if I would have seen through this episode at the age of 9 as I did now, but judging by how I reacted to the Mask of the Phantasm movie as a youngin', it's very likely that my reaction would have been pretty similar. But I've said before that the most important thing to do when putting together a mystery story is not try to stump the audience. Some writers think that that is the be-all end-all goal when doing a mystery story, and it's just not. More important than that is providing the audience with clues so that when they go back and watch it again, they can say, oh, I'm such an idiot, how did I not see it before? That is, if you did not take into account what Paul Dini said about mystery episodes in this series. And in that case, I'd have to say that this episode kind of fails. Look at the very first scene. Man-Bat shows up on a dock, and the episode wants us to think that it's Kirk Langstrom so badly that it cheats. The Man-Bat in this scene is completely topless, kind of like how Man-Bat was when it was Kirk Langstrom. But in the later scenes, the Man-Bat creature is wearing part of Francine's shirt and a different color pants. Also, when Kirk wakes up and finds the ripped-up rug in his room, you would think at that point that Francine's clothes would have been kind of shredded up like they were at the end of the episode after she transforms back into Francine. I feel like these cheats exist because, without them, the episode would have no substance at all. It has to rely on lies to string along the mystery that wasn't even that difficult to piece together in the first place. And if it didn't lie, it wouldn't even have the mystery, and so it wouldn't really have a whole lot of anything at all. One thing I am on the fence about is how Francine became the Man-Bat in the first place. It feels like someone came up with the idea to do another Man-Bat episode, but they didn't want it to be Kirk. Okay, it's Francine, but how? She's not the mad scientist type like her father. She's not even going to dabble in this stuff for the good of humanity like her husband after seeing what it did to him. So we need some really ultra-contrived way for her to become the Man-Bat. So we have a flashback where Francine's father was experimenting with the serum and broke the vial. So Francine starts cleaning up the vial with her bare hands, and the glass cuts her hand and gets the Man-Bat serum into her blood. Never mind the fact that when Kirk became the Man-Bat, he needed a whole lot more of this stuff than just one drop to transform, and yet that seemed to be all that was needed to transform Francine. But ignore that for a second. Are you telling me that Francine is stupid enough to clean up a pile of broken glass and unknown chemicals without, gloves on? Or hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was some kind of invention that has all these bristles on the end of a stick, and then you can just clean up broken glass without even having to touch it? Oh wait, brooms do exist? Okay, then Francine Francine, you are too dumb to live, sweetheart. If you transform into the Man-Bat and then Kraven the Hunter kills you, you deserve it. And yeah, I know this episode needs some way to transform her, and since she isn't responsible for it herself, she's not as dumb as she potentially could have been. But still, this was really silly, but I guess it could have been worse. Honestly, I don't have much else to say about this episode. It's all built around a pretty unstable house of mystery, no relation to the DC comic of the same name, and as I've said here and elsewhere, anytime this series or any of the DCAU series try to do mystery, it just doesn't work that well. Lucky for me, we won't be seeing any more of the Man-Bat or the Langstroms in this series. It's not that I dislike Man-Bat, but after you've given this family 2 happy endings, you don't really need to keep dragging them back into the thick of things by turning one or both of them into the Man-Bat. Although if they were to do something kind of like what they did in the episode Tiger Tiger, where Langstrom is an ally to Batman, but is not turning into the Man-Bat, or even the focus of the episode, I'd be alright with that, but I know that doesn't happen, so the point is moot. Overall, not a huge fan of this episode, but maybe you guys liked it. If you did, tell me why in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think, and I hope that you guys like this review. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you did like this review, come back next weekend to hear me talk about an episode of Batman Beyond. And the week after that, I will be talking about another episode of Batman the Animated Series. And be sure to come back throughout the week to hear me talk about other things. Until next time, have a great day.